I gotta tell you, I'm a heavy gamer. Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, and PC. But when it comes to mobile gaming, man, there's just not much there for me. So I don't tend to accept many review requests for mobile-specific controllers. I made an exception for this when they came to me and said, hey, you want one to review? And this is the SCUF Nomad. It is made specifically for iPhone. It has a pair of drift-free, full-sized Hall-effect thumbsticks, good-sized ergonomic grips, and comes from a brand I've had good experiences from in the past with their pro-aimed console controllers. SCUF, by the way, is part of the Corsair family these days, if you hadn't heard. Been that way for a few years now. Hello again, I am Bloody, and I've had this controller for about 3 months now, and the reason this review took till now is not because it's difficult to review, it's just because I initially had some issues with some of the functionality, but a firmware update ironed that right out, and it's been flawlessly obedient and consistent ever since. And while I started the review process with my iPhone 11 Pro Max, by the time I was done getting ready to do this video, the iPhone 16 Pro was in my hands, so I retested there as well. Now, hardware-wise, it's on the unusual side of mobile controllers with a symmetrical stick layout instead of the more common Xbox-style asymmetrical stick layout you'll often find on mobile controllers. I, personally, have a preference for asymmetrical layouts though, but as opposed to PlayStation's symmetrical choice of sticks which are below the buttons and below the D-pad, this flips that, and frankly, I like it better this way. So, if you are like me and usually don't prefer symmetrical sticks, especially the way Sony does it, don't be hasty about dismissing this just because of that. And as I mentioned before, the sticks are not only Hall effect, but properly full-sized and full travel, which is not something that many mobile-specific controllers do. And let me tell you, it is much appreciated. In use, they feel smooth and responsive, but I'll come back to the issue of the dead zone in a minute. The face buttons are small, a little smaller than I prefer, close to Nintendo Switch style really, so not too small, just smaller than I prefer, but they do have a good travel, a secure feeling tactile activation, and are nice and quiet. They're decent buttons, if small. The D-pad is, it's a little on the mushy side, frankly. Its functionality is fine, but if you do a lot of retro emulation or arcade gaming, it's kind of middle of the road. It's not terrible, but it is mushier than you might want for that kind of gaming. The shoulder buttons are unremarkable but pleasant, and the triggers have a travel that's maybe 70% of an Xbox controller's, but they do feel smooth, accurate, and responsive and consistent in use. And there's a pair of well-placed and tactically solid back buttons, fully customizable, of course. Now, let's talk about those dead zones. The reason I skipped over it a minute ago is because with SCUF's own app, you can custom configure it to your own liking. And you can do it individually for each stick, and individually for each trigger as well. So no matter how you like your dead zone, you can get yourself sorted out here. And you can even have multiple custom profiles you can switch between each with their own dead zone settings, sensitivity ramps, and complete custom button layouts. It's a very clean and very easy interface. The software can also function as kind of a faux launcher for your mobile games as well. It even has a recording function built in. Neither of those things are much use to me and the way I use mine though, because like I said, I'm not much of a mobile gamer, so I spend a lot of my time testing it with a proper gamer's repertoire. PC, Xbox, and PlayStation games through their respective local streaming or cloud-based apps. And the short version is, it works perfectly across the board, nice and seamless, just as you would hope. Now, when I switched to the new iPhone 16 Pro, I found the significantly larger hump from its cameras, combined with a slightly smaller frame compared to my 11 Pro Max, meant it didn't actually fit properly in this thing, which was very concerning, until I remembered that SCUF solved this already. In the box, there's a little rubber grommet thingy that pads out the fit just enough to make it work great with the newer phones. In use, the grip is nice and secure, and of course properly padded to protect your iPhone's finish on all sides. It also should be good with most cases. Bulkier cases may pose a problem of course, but they always do with controller stuff, don't they? Or anything that snaps onto your phone. That's just physics at play. Most importantly, though, it is a genuinely good-feeling controller in use in real-world gaming. I did initially find myself accidentally thumbing the screen when overreaching for the buttons. I have a reasonably large thumb, and sometimes when I dive for the X button, I'll hit the screen edge instead, especially on my iPhone 16 Pro, which has teeny tiny bezels compared to what my 11 Pro Max had. But you do get used to it, and your muscle memory will adapt. Or maybe you just have less man-paw-like appendages on the ends of your arms than mine are. The stick tops are also replaceable, which is welcome, because that's the part I tend to wear out the fastest on my other controllers. There's a slightly chunkier pair in the box with a shallow convex dome if you like your sticks that way, but the default ones feel pretty close to Xbox with a concave dish. The built-in battery will give you about 16 hours of gaming and charges over USB-C, as you would expect. It doesn't directly connect to the phone in any way at all, nor does it serve as a backup battery. Connection is wireless over Bluetooth only, and the battery only serves the controller. So, all that said, let's talk verdict. The SCUF Nomad easily ranks among the best mobile controllers I've tried, frankly. It's not quite as small or, say, bag-friendly as some of the others can be, but they also compromise on build and stick size and such to get to their smaller, more compact sizes, and frankly, I would rather have the full-size sticks and the nice rounded, large ergonomic lobes on the back so it sits nicely in my hands when I'm using it, than I would something smaller and slightly compromised but easy to pack. SCUF has obviously leaned towards making a better controller than a better portable device. All that said, obviously it's not very bulky and large. It's not impossible to slide in your bag, just, it's slightly bulkier than some alternatives is all I'm saying. And it is working great as a controller for remote gaming for me. And who knows, maybe someday there'll actually be a mobile game that I give a crap about and I'll use it there too. Either way, this one is staying within reach as my go-to controller for my phone from now on in when I need it. And as a last reminder, by the way, because I know I'll get comments, and if you comment asking me this question and you haven't watched the entire video and you haven't got to this part of the video, I'm going to be cranky. If you are slumming it with an Android device, you are SOL. This one's iPhone specific. I mentioned it earlier and I'm mentioning it now, so do not ask me if it works for Android in the comments, because it just proves to me you didn't watch the video, and I'm not going to answer you then. Just not. Thanks for watching. I am Blunty. We'll catch you next time. Thank you as always to the patrons scrolling away above with their extra support, which I very much appreciate. Catch you next time.